Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Paranormal Q&A with Jack, Kenna, and
Carly Hall.
Carly Hall. Carly Hall with her green screen behind her. So how you doing tonight, Carly?
I'm good.
Just waiting for some of our followers to jump on in. Don't see too many people out there. They've abandoned us. It's all your fault. Or my
Sorry.
fault. It's probably that candle you're burning.
I love my candles.
I know you do. There's Betty. Hello, Betty. There's Nick. How you doing out there, Nick? So we've been away. There's Barry. Barry made it on. I know he said he was maybe having some internet problems tonight, but glad he made it. Bob Maloney, how you doing out there? So we're just seeing everybody pop in. So we've been away again, and we were down in Alexandria, Virginia this weekend for my grandson's baptism, and we did that, and that was good time. We spent a good weekend down there, a nice weekend down there. Got to see all the families and spend some time with the kids and the grandson and all that good stuff. My son Josh was down there too, so we got to spend time with the whole family down there, which was good. And Jenny Sullivan, I see, is here, so hello, Jenny. So I just want to make sure. I always try to say hi to everybody who comes into the chat room. But yeah, so we've been away. We're going to be away this weekend too. I know some of our friends out there are going to be joining us. Some are not able to, but it'll be Ocean State Paracon out at the casino in Massachusetts. What the heck was the name of the casino? We'll be going to the Friday night VIP party as well. That's this Friday, the 19th. And I'm just looking up the information on this because I just want to throw it out there. If you want to check it out, you can go to their Facebook page, facebook.com OSPCC Charity Fund, and it'll give you all the information on the event, what's going on. And there's a link there to where you get your tickets if you want to go to the event. It's going to be a good time, and we're looking forward to it. We've got our own table there. We'll be right next to our other table, Spirits in New England, will be there. And Plain Ridge Racing Casino in Plainville, Massachusetts is where it is. So it's Plain Ridge Racing Casino at Plainville, Massachusetts. That's where the event's going to be. So be a good time. I know, like I said, some of you are going to make it, some of you can't. Always wish that everybody could be there. I'm just going to post the information up there. Oh, that gave me a link. I don't want that. I don't want that link. I'm going to give you the link to the event here. This is the actual website. So I'm just going to post this for anybody who's interested, finding out more, or maybe wants to go. Or even if you are going, you check out some of the stuff they've got going on. And what's going to be happening there. So I'll throw that out there. Howie, how you doing out there? Teresa, how you doing? They're all saying hi to us, Carly. I don't know if you can see them. So John McGinnis is here. Hello, John. So we're going to be there. We are not doing a lecture. Oh, Fred is here. And Fred says something. He says, both of you seem... I was going to post this up there. Both of you seem so calm discussing all these topics. Do either or both of you ever get the willies? Not really. I don't anymore. I mean, I think it's because we've experienced so much, and the reason that we go to these things. I don't really. No, I guess I don't. I really gave my thought, but
yeah, I think the closest thing we ever get to that is more like when people are talking about like things where like things or events have happened to them and they kind of like decipher the meanings of those things, and then like psychically we can like confirm that with the way our bodies react to that.
Yeah.
But we don't get like nervous or scared or anything with anything that goes on.
No. Well, I do. There's
I think
times when I go into a location, I do get like that feeling of I shouldn't be here. I maybe feel like not frightened. I don't know what the word would be, but to me, that's an indicator that something's going on. So I want to stay.
yeah.
So I want to try to, find out what's going on, try to capture any potential evidence of anything that's happening, things like that. So I maybe still do, but I perceive it in a different perspective. Maybe it's a good way to say it. I may
Yeah.
still get those feelings, but I don't process them that way. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good way to say it.
I
Process
think
them in a different way.
I think we're just like, this is just our everyday life, so we're just used to it, really. I
That's
mean,
yeah,
so I think that's really what has
yeah,
more to do with it.
yeah. I mean, things still surprise me. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you may jump back because what the heck, hearing disembodied voices, things like that, that can be surprising. Can be, I don't know if it's unnerving is the right word, but it's,
Yeah.
it can be like,
Unnerving
well,
would
I
be a
know,
good word.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, yeah, I know knows nobody's there, but I still like focusing on trying to figure out who that is that's talking to me. I'll respond to it and see if I get another response, which normally I really don't, but which is interesting.
Yeah.
Um, oh, so Nick wants to ask you a question. He says, "Carly, is
Yes.
that a green screen behind you?"
That is, yes. I'm using it because the background's really busy, so I figured just pop it up and make it look but I use this for my streaming.
Correct. And Shelley says trepidation is probably what. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
trepidation. Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put that. Um, yes, good point. Yeah, yeah, but it is an indicator that for us at least that you want to stay in that location. You want to because you're there to find out what's going on, or you're there to try to collect evidence, and so it's a reason to stay, not to run. You know, so at least for us, I mean, it's a different perspective on things. But trepidation, yes, that's a good term. Yeah, you feel that trepidation of something's not right. So Michelle has a question. She says, "What are shadow people?" I'll let you take that, Carly. Go ahead. Explain
Yeah,
what shadow people are.
everybody has their own little variations on what they believe shadow people are. Um and it also has to do with the different faiths that people have. Like I know for the Native Americans, people believe shadow people are people that you haven't met yet, that are to be like, coming across your path in the future. Um so for me, I typically believe that shadow people are human spirits that have passed, and it's just a form that they've taken to show themselves, or it could be something more malevolent. Demonics typically present themselves that way because it's the absence of light. Um, yeah, I mean, that's all I have to put into it. What do you think?
Yeah. I'll just first say hello to our friend Carl Mitchell and Brian. I'll say hi back to you because he said hi to us. So I just want to acknowledge our friends out there. Um, Shadow people, my experience with them, they're usually what I've normally run into is they're just people who have passed. They're trying to reach out for some reason. They're not always negative. I know some people have belief that shadow people are evil. They're negative things. They're trying to hurt you. That's not always the case. There are cases of that where I have seen shadow figures within negative cases, and I don't mean demonic cases. I'm just talking negative type hauntings where they are trying to scare the individual. They're trying to, um, manipulate the person, things like that, pull energy from them. So there's those types too. But I have found normally they're just uh, a manifestation of a spirit. And I do believe it's like Carly's saying when they're talking about the Native Americans, it's somebody you haven't met yet. And I believe that. I believe sometimes these shadow figures are people you see them because you haven't met them. You don't know what they look like, so you're just getting that outline of them. That it's not even an outline. It's just a solid image of an individual. I have seen ones that look female. I've seen ones that look male, um, and then I've seen shadow figure kind of things that were connected to demonic type cases that don't even look human. They look like something else. So, there's all kinds out there. I've actually even seen animal type shadow don't want to call them people, but
Shadow
shadow
figures.
figures, yes, that are of animals. And I believe that has to do with in cases, those are typically also in cases where it's something that's more Native American in nature, or in regards to oh, my mind just went blank, Carly, so jump in if you want.
Elemental.
Um, elemental type spirits, things like that. So I have seen those too, and so yeah, it just varies. It's no one answer to any of it. It varies based on the moment, the incident, where you've experienced it, what you felt at the time when you did see it, or experienced it, and whether you were afraid, or it was benign, or you're just like more curious about it, things like that. So I mean, those feelings come into effect if you see something that's like a shadow figure that you may feel terrified of. It could be something that's very negative. It could be you could be picking up on its feelings, what it's expressing. So take that into account at the time too, because that can be a tell as to what it is you might be experiencing or seeing or dealing with. So it's important to consider that. We have another couple questions. Just Nick says that's why he uses a green screen as well, to prevent distraction. And then Teresa Fowler has a quick question. What does it mean when I hear someone call my name, but nobody in our house has called my name? Go ahead, Carl. I'll let you take
Oh,
that.
you and I have both different takes on this, so you should probably answer first.
Why?
Because
Doesn't
we both
matter.
had different experiences.
True. So give me your experience and I'll give me mine.
Okay, so mine's a little scarier, but when I had my haunting, typically it was very common to hear my name being called, even like, and I would constantly listen to music like on full blast all the time just because of the thoughts that were in my head and the noises and the voices that I would hear.
Yeah.
And I could even hear it through that of people calling my name, and nobody would call my name, and so it was those things, my attachments. Um, and it was very annoying because they were just trying to make you feel crazy. That's the reason why they did it. Um, and my mom would get so irritated because I'd be yelling down the stairs going, "What?" And she'd be like, "I didn't say anything.
Mm.
Like, I didn't call your name."
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so my experience with that is I've had it happen a lot in my own home, and it turns out, after talking to a good uh, and reputable psychic medium friend of mine, it was my maternal grandmother that was reaching out to me. So, and I've had it happen to people in this house who have had their names called, but it's nothing malicious, nothing bad, and it's just trying to get your attention. And that happens sometimes too. Sometimes it's just a spirit that's trying to get your attention. Could be a family member, may not be, but sometimes they just want your attention for whatever reason. We don't necessarily know the reasons, but they're just trying to reach out to get your attention. So, again, I would also say, when you hear something like that, take into account how you feel at that moment. Are you frightened? Are you aggravated? Are you just curious? Sometimes you even feel like a calming sense, which can usually be like a family member that's trying to reach out. So take into account how you feel at the moment you see that, to try to interpret maybe what the reason they're calling your name is. I've had my name called on cases, so that's a little bit different because I know when something negative is trying to get my attention or give a message, and when it's not, because the negative thing will use my given name, uh, and something that's not will use just what everybody knows me as, Jack Kenna. So it'll say Jack. So that's usually not anything negative. Um, but in negative cases, my given name will be used. And some people know what that is, and others don't. So I just keep it because for that reason, so I can tell the differences. Because on investigations, everybody calls me Jack, so nobody should know what my given name is. And sometimes these spirits do, and it's like, okay, Yeah, and when it's a family member, it usually uses my other nickname, and it's not Jack. I have another nickname from when I was growing up. So, uh, and that's what a family member will use, is that one. Let's see. Oh, we did have a question. I popped up from Barry. Question: what are your thoughts of what tricksters are? Well, a trickster, from my understanding, I'll just take this and I'll let you go for it, Carly. A trickster comes from Native American lore, typically, or sometimes in folklore over in Europe, and it has to do with like a spirit that's just trying to cause mischief, um, kind of like, you know. The
Hiding things around
trickster
your
was also known in Native American to be the coyote. Was considered a trickster, and they believe sometimes spirits would manifest as coyotes because they can mess with things and cause problems for people. And coyotes were known for doing that themselves. So they're considered tricksters. They're not there to be malicious necessarily. They're just trying to cause you some issues and mess with you. So, Carly, your opinion on
I
that?
have no experience with tricksters really, so
You don't have any opinion on it?
no, I don't really know much about tricksters.
Okay. A
So
lot of
I
it
mean,
comes
other
from
than
Native
I
American
mean,
lore.
other than like people who worship Loki, he's the trickster god.
Yes, it also comes
So
from,
yeah,
yes, that's why I said European. Yeah, because Loki was known as that.
yeah.
So,
Um,
um,
so it's interesting to learn about, though. I would like to learn more about that.
yeah, yeah, you'll see it in both Native American and like um,
But we haven't really come
European
across a
folklore.
trickster like case, so
Or actually, with regards to Loki, he was a god. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh, um, they're um, oh god, we haven't come across a trickster like client case yet, so I haven't really done any research on it. But
True. Well, with regards to here in the U.S., it's more regards to a elemental type spirit. With regards to Native American
yeah,
folklore and beliefs,
but that's just their
that's their but
yeah.
that's their take on it. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm just going through, looking down at questions. Um, Nick says there's sometimes shadow people have glowing eyes. Yes, those are usually pretty negative things, by the way. Usually, I've known people who have seen those kind of things, they're terrified of them. So it usually indicates it's something negative. Um, and Regina does say she saw, go back to shadow figures again. Yes, saw a huge shadow spider when I was staying at Days in California. Sure, it wasn't just a big spider. They have
Nope,
big spiders
I'd
in
be out of
California.
there.
Yeah.
Nope.
That would indicate
Eh,
that to me. That would indicate something that's more elemental, because it could be because it's a shadow figure, so it's an animal. It's some type of insect or something in the shape of something more
I
elemental type of
I
thing.
honestly think that's more, from my take. I'd say that's more of like a symbolic sign, like what the spider
Could be.
stands for.
Well, actually, if you get into that,
Isn't that like financial luck? Like you're expecting
yes,
finances?
yes, yes. I mean, if you get into, usually that's within a dream. That's a dream
Yeah, but like
interpretation, though.
I
I mean,
feel
if you
like
were
that would
dreaming,
be more of
you know,
like a
yeah, it
sign,
has to
like,
do
you
with
know, when you see a butterfly or if you see like a cardinal or something like that, like I feel like that's more of a sign, like a
yeah.
spider would
Spiders
be.
tend to have to do actually
Sorry.
financial gain. So, so hopefully that Spider Man, you're going to fall into something financially good. But that's a shadow figure as compared. What are you doing over there?
I'm sorry. I'm looking up
Maybe you have a
spiders.
rave thing going on.
Do I?
Yeah, lights on, lights off, lights on,
I
lights
don't
off.
know.
You're
Maybe
breaking your
that'll
stuff
fix it.
over there. I don't know. Carly's doing a rave thing,
Yeah.
paranormal rave
About spiders. Yeah.
about spiders. Maybe that's it. Is a spider keeps blocking and
Oh, you know
and
what? It might be my keyboard. Oh god. No.
maybe it is blocking you.
It includes artistry, manifestation, patience, feminine power, ancient wisdom, illusion, and balance.
There you go. Well, ancient
Yep.
wisdom, again, falling towards maybe something elemental type. Yeah.
Never know.
Mhm. And like I said, my sister says shadow people, I mean, many things depends on the situation. That's true. Yes, it does. Same thing with the spider, depends on the situation. I wouldn't, I mean, if you're terrified of it, yeah, maybe something trying to um, frighten you, trying to get you to leave. If you weren't, if you're just like, what the heck is that? It may have to do with what we just talked about. So maybe
I
something's telling you you're going to fall into something good, you know.
I hate spiders. I hate spiders so
All right,
Next one.
the reason I'm quiet is I'm looking down through for any questions that I might have missed or haven't gotten to yet. Um, Something I did want to talk about because we actually heard this. We were listening to my friend Steve Cole's one of his shows on the way back on Spotify, the Squatch Detective, and something I did want to kind of just touch base on at least anyway. They got talking about this video that was out there and how this person can't seem to get themselves the person who did the video can't seem to get themselves to admit that what they filmed was actually a porcupine and not a Bigfoot in a tree. I've never seen the video. I can't really talk to the video itself, but my point here is the person kept like doubling and tripling down on this was definitely a Bigfoot, and they couldn't bring themselves to admit, even though everybody else was saying, no, that's we know what that is. It's a porcupine. They couldn't bring themselves to admit that they were wrong about it, that they were so stuck in their belief of what it was, and they had actually gone in anticipating they were going to run into a Bigfoot, but that's what they believed it was right from the start. The same thing happens, I notice, in the paranormal. People will send me photos of something or send me video of something, and they already believe what it is. And when they send it to somebody who steps back and takes a third party view of it with no connection to it, no, what do I want to say? No, I have no stake in the matter. And you tell them that no, looking at everything and looking, this is what this is, and it's not paranormal. They get angry, they get upset, they start becoming defensive. Um, and we they believe, and we got talking. They got talking about. They believe instead of saying no, you just need to look at this and take a better look at it and really do better debunking of it. That this is what it is. They feel these people are calling them a liar, and they're not. We're not saying you're a liar. We're not saying, that, sometimes some of the stuff you catch isn't actually paranormal. We're just saying that you asked us what this is what it is, from based on our own experiences and history with doing things. And when nobody's calling you a liar, we're just you asked our opinion, we're giving you this. But my point is here, I do believe we see this in the ghost hunting end of it, this paranormal end of it, not just in cryptozoology. You can't get so married to what you believe something is. You got to take the extra steps to make sure what you're saying and what you're presenting to people
Oh,
is actually there is no other explanation for it. It is possibly realistically paranormal, and
keep in
not
mind that
everything you capture is going to be paranormal. I mean,
mhm,
you've got to take a good look at it. um, and I just wanted to touch base on that because I think it is important to the field that it's sometimes you got to admit when you're wrong, and I've had to do it. And there's nothing wrong with admitting, hey, I was wrong. Or even I went back and found out myself that this really wasn't paranormal. It was this instead. I made a mistake. You got to be willing to do that um, in this field or in any field. Because it's about bringing credibility to the field. Not everything you're going to catch, not everything you're going to see, not everything you're going to experience is always paranormal. There could be other more real reasons for it, and you've got to be willing to do that. It's not just about I caught this great piece of evidence and look and here it is, and this is paranormal, and you've done nothing to double check it. And I've seen it happen. I've seen people do it, and I'm not mentioning names or picking on anybody. And I just say, well, I don't really think it is. I think this is what it is. And they get mad. And we shouldn't get mad at each other for these kind of things. We should take into account what that person is saying, listen to it, and then try to determine if they're correct. You know, because if you can find out that they aren't correct, then maybe what you really presented really is paranormal. And vice versa. If you find out they are correct, or multiple people are correct, then okay, all right, you're right. Yeah, I made a mistake. Okay, I'm willing to admit to that. And yeah, okay, it's not. I got excited. I got pumped up. I thought it really was, and turns out it's not. And that's okay. Again, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just something I wanted to touch on and bring up because I thought that was a good point they were bringing up in the cryptozoology area, and it's in order to move the field forward, right? If you keep tying yourself into stuff that isn't true, nobody's going to believe you in the end, and you can never move your field forward into a believable area of science. So just something to think about. All right, so I leave it at that. All right, let's see. Barry's talking about back to tricksters for a minute. Amy Allen, Dead Files seems to reference tricksters commonly in quite a few of those episodes. That's true. I mean, I've watched some of it, but remember that's TV too. So
Yeah.
sometimes something fits for a narrative in television.
And it's not
So
evidence-based.
I yeah, I mean, sometimes I do agree with some of the things she comes up with and what she says. Other times I'm like, it sounds like it's just fitting into a narrative for the show.
Yeah.
Um,
But
that's my personal opinion.
there's no, like, investigation, there's no, like, evidence, so, like,
No, it's strictly her feelings
strictly
as a
psychically
psychic
read,
medium.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
And psychic mediums are not always correct. I mean, remember that. There's very many good ones out there, but even sometimes they're wrong. You know, um, True, they're
And
trying to
by
help
wrong
people.
it means that they're reading the information, but it's not to that location. It's not to
Maybe,
that specific
or they're
person.
they're
It could be to somebody else. So
misinterpreting what's being
right.
presented to them. I mean, you got to remember, it's coming through spirit, so it could be misinterpreted sometimes, and there could be more than one interpretation of it.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that, and I think with the medium, they've got to disseminate through their feelings, their thoughts, and a lot of times, I mean, we're all biased a lot of times by our own experiences, right? And she had some very negative experiences with shadow figures growing up. That's a known fact. So often she believes that all shadow figures are negative, and I don't believe that, but that's based on her own experience. Okay. And some bias does fall into her review of things. She's always trying to help people. Don't get me wrong. I like Amy Allen. I've met her. I think she's a good person. But we can all do that. I mean, I can do
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
try not to. I try to separate myself from it. But I do take other people's opinions on when we gather information of what's going on.
Mhm.
So you got to be a little careful, but at least she's validating some of her stuff through um, what's his name, who's the former detective, and he's tying it into information he finds. So often they can bring some things to a real conclusion, right? Um, but yeah, but remember, again, I would say that's television, also, and it is a TV show, and it's about ratings. So sometimes things fit a narrative. That's all I will say um, in regards to that. And it's just like when I did some of the shows I did. I mean, they do reenactments of things, and they play to a narrative of the story I gave them, the actual experience we had, and they'll play it up. So it's part of television. Television is about entertainment and ratings, and these production companies are going to do what they want with some of your stuff. So some of her things may not even be presented the way she actually even totally believes it. So things to remember. Be careful of taking too much from television shows. That's all I'm going to say. Um, it's different than actual investigation. It is. It just is. Carl, I'm just going to put Carl's up here because it's a big, long thing, and it's interesting. In mythology and the study of folklore and religion, a trickster is a character in a story, in some cases, god, goddesses, spirit, human, who exhibits a great degree of intelligence and or secret knowledge and uses it to play tricks and otherwise disobey normal rules, blah, blah, blah. That's also true. And part of that falls into Native American folklore and religious beliefs and their belief system and their gods and things like that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention there, Carl. Appreciate that. Bob Burnell. I'm going to put this up from Bob because he talks about his haunting. When my haunting was, this is from Bob Burnell, when my haunting was at its worst, I saw a shadow person peeping around my doorway at me. And then 2 days later, I heard a friend of mine saying hello, like he walked into the other room and there was no one there. Yeah. And again, it all depends on the moment, on the haunting, on what's going on. A lot of things are, so you can't just, say a shadow figure is always evil or good. You got to take a lot of things into account. Nick says Carly's trying to start a spider rave.
Nope.
Oh, I didn't know this. My sister brings this up. Greek mythology is also, Trickster is also a coyote, but he is a patron of thieves and the inventor of lying. There
I think
you
she's
go.
talking about, yeah.
He's talking about the coyote in the Greek mythology. Renee says, "Oh no, you just clicked on here and you guys are going on about spiders."
Yeah, no more about spiders.
But there's more.
No.
Spiders don't bother me, says Barry. I have big, small spiders all around me since I'm almost surrounded by the Montezuma Wildlife Refuge. Yeah, that's a good point. Hanging out. Yeah, they're just hanging out. You have to go visit Barry now. He's got spiders all around him.
That's off of my list now. Sorry, Barry. You're going to have to come to us.
Regina says she wasn't afraid of the shadow figure she saw. Well, that's good. It's probably just, or was that the voice? I forget. Anyway, she wasn't afraid of it, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, shadow figure, yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably nothing harmful. And Renee's talking about evidence and has to be clear cut before she even posts it. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, most people do. Some people don't, but again, it's just a topic that came up that I just wanted to touch base on because it is very important. I'm just looking for questions. Nick's talking about an investigation he did. Very interesting. You guys check that out if you want. Talking about the Opera House at, where was he? Opera House in Roseville, Illinois. So he did an investigation at and had a shadow figure and stuff like that. Okay, cool. I'm still just looking down through, looking for questions. So that. Barry says, "You think you have an objective sense while investigating the paranormal?" Very true. You have to, but not everybody does, and that's my point. Not everybody is objective. Some people believe everything they capture is paranormal, and it's just something we run into with clients, even, right, Carly? I mean, they've experienced stuff for so long that now they believe everything they're experiencing in their home is paranormal, and that's not the case. but they've been traumatized by what they have really experienced. And it's going on for a long period of time. So now they start to believe everything that happens is because of the ghost in the house or because of the demon in the house, and that's not true. That's not true at all. Regina says, "Good point, Jack. It's great to keep an open mind." Yeah, and it wasn't just my point. Again, this was brought up by Steve Coles and his guys that were talking about, um, Bigfoot, and
Yeah, that was a
evidence
really good
presented with
podcast.
Bigfoot.
They actually
It
did get
really
into
was. If you
they
haven't checked out Steve's podcast, check it out. It's
Mhm.
it's Squatch D TV, and it's on YouTube, or you can find it on Spotify if you just want to listen to the programs audio wise. Go ahead, Carly. You were going to say something about that?
No, that's what I no, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I stepped on you there. Sorry about that. Everybody's kind of talking amongst themselves. And Barry talks about he's not a huge fan of when Amy Allen has to encourage residents to move out of their homes due to extreme paranormal activity. Yeah, I don't agree with that really either. Sorry, I was just looking at some. I always think there's another answer to that, because even if they move out, could the next person who moves in be affected?
Yeah,
No.
and what's to say it's not gonna follow them?
And I mean, yeah, usually if it's
So
attached to the home, it's probably not going to follow them.
yeah,
I
but
mean,
if it's attached to the family,
yeah,
so I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I'm not really into like making them move out and change their lives because that's huge, and
yeah,
even
I
moving
would.
out has a huge impact on people,
Yeah, she
you
doesn't
know.
recommend that very often, I notice, but sometimes I still, and I think in more of the newer shows, she very rarely ever recommends that. She has her like team come in now. She has a team that her and her mother put together that can go in and try to clear these things and bring calm to the house and stuff like that. So I think, her whole mentality about it has even changed herself over the years, which is good. That means even she's kind of admitting in some ways that maybe wasn't the right answer, and there could be other things they could do. You've got to change, got to step it up, and that's good because that's what you want to do, right? So um, that goes back to the other thing about sometimes admitting when you're wrong. Maybe there is a different answer to it, or maybe there is another side to it. Um, and I see Fred says, "Do you guys have a producer or just in front of a computer cam on your own?" Yeah, we just do this on our own, Nick. I or Fred, I mean, we just do this on our own. I don't really want a producer. This is just a Q&A we do for all the people that follow us out there. We just try to answer their questions as best we can about the paranormal. I have no desire to have a producer, and I don't. Um, because our schedule is crazy too, so we can't always be here every single Tuesday. Um, so just because of our own lives and the way things go for us, so sometimes we have to cancel. So I'd rather just kind of wing it and do it ourselves and just try to answer everybody's questions. And sometimes we talk about a topic, sometimes we don't. We don't very often have guests either. I don't really kind of do that. Um, we do have guests when somebody asks if they can be on the show. We'll try to schedule them in. Um, but we're mostly just here to answer everybody's questions and get them to talk to each other out there. And you'll see, Fred, if you take a look, you'll see the community does talk amongst themselves even while we're talking, which is what I want, which is what we want. And they've actually, many of them finally got to all meet each other in person at the USS Salem, an event we held, and they got to meet each other and hang out with each other for the first time. So that was pretty cool. Uh, just trying
Because
to expand.
we don't have all the answers, so
No, we don't, which is why we like the fact that they all talk amongst each other
mhm,
and that they got to meet in person and they got to investigate together, and it was a good time, and everybody learns from each other, I think, a little bit. So
yeah.
it's all good. That's why we
Craig
do
has a
this.
question.
Who does?
Craig, right above Fred's.
Okay, let me look. Oh, Craig. Hey, Craig. I haven't seen Craig in a while. How you doing out there, Craig? Craig is I don't know if you were there when I met him before. I went to his apartment. I think you were. Um, and Craig asks, how deadly is a Dybbuk box? Well, a true Dybbuk box, I don't know about deadly, but it can be very harmful.
Harmful. Yeah.
Normally, a Dybbuk box is something that is buried with the person who originally created it, because it has to do with them specifically. Um, they may call upon this spirit to do some type of bidding for them, or part of it can be they've put the negativity of their own soul into this box, um, that helps them be a better person. So it's all the negative from them that's put in the box. So it's part of them, which is why it's supposed to be buried with them. That's why you really don't see much about it or hear much about it. It really comes from um, um, not the Islam, but the Jewish community um, and their belief systems and things like that. So it comes from that. If you do come across a real one, sometimes people have been creating these now in order to sell them, and that's a bad idea. I would not buy one. I would not own one, um, because they can be harmful to you. I mean, the true Dybbuk box, which brought up all this stuff, was something that was very harmful to people. I know, it's what's his name that now has it in his museum out in Las Vegas there. He got a hold of the original one, um, that started the whole Dybbuk box thing. And, it's in his museum
Zach?
out in, yeah, Zach Bagans. It's out in Las Vegas. So it's kept there. And he opened it once for a show. He did a show. He opened it once. They did have some problems after that, though. But it is sealed. I mean, it's closed. They don't let anybody open it. You can view it. You can see it. But I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't go near it personally. You know, um, just
I
stay
mean,
away
nothing
from it.
can good from something that holds so much negativity.
Yeah, yeah. They're
Really,
usually they
honestly.
created to hold evil, negativity, things like that. So, and be careful because some people have them online. They say, "Oh, it's a Dybbuk's box, and it's this," and it's not. It's just something they threw together. It's a lie. It's fake. It's not even real, and they're just trying to make money off of it.
You
So,
can put, like, strange things inside of it that's illegal and all that, so don't.
or whatever. They just throw
Yeah.
junk in it and say, "Oh, it's a Dybbuk box.
Yeah.
Look, it's haunted." It's not. So be careful about that stuff. But true Dybbuk box can be very troublesome, and it can bring you some problems. Um, let's see. Bob Burnell says he's looking forward to the next gathering. I'm just looking back through again. Talking about shadow figures still. And Nick did say good for us for doing it the way we were doing our show. So, yes, a
Thank
lot
you.
of people do like it, and they enjoy the show, which is why they come in and talk amongst themselves and talk to us. And
I mean, we don't do this to be famous, so there's no real reason
no,
to, like,
no,
have
no. I mean,
producer
hey,
or
look,
anything.
half the time I'm sitting here just looking through questions. I don't even have anything
Yeah.
much to say. So, it's waiting for questions, and they're all
No.
talking to each other. Um,
We're just doing it
Bob
to
says
hang
he's
out with
looking.
you
Bob
guys
Burnell says
more.
he's looking forward to the next gathering of all of us. Yes, we will be doing that again. Uh, and Shelly, my sister, says she's putting one. She's putting a Dybbuk box in for her and her demons. Okay, I'll make sure that gets. She's being cremated, so I'll make sure that's cremated with you. Actually, I don't want to cremate it. That would release it, so I'm gonna have to put it in with your urn somewhere. They're gonna have to keep you together. I'll have to put you on one mantelpiece or something together. Shelly and her Dybbuk box. I see. And Nick says Zacho has almost everything. Yes, he does. I would like to check out his museum sometime. I'd like to go in there and check it out sometime. Maybe next time. I haven't been to Vegas in God years and years and years. I have to get back out there sometime. Barry says he learned Zach's Dybbuk box had been debunked. I don't know about that. I mean, that was the Dybbuk box that was originally the one floating around. I mean, maybe there's nothing attached to it anymore. Um,
Well, they opened it.
he
So
did open it. Yeah, maybe he let it all out. I mean, somebody else opened it at one time too before they knew what it was. They had bought it um, as a something as to resell. They thought it was just an antique, and somebody had problems with it. So I don't know if it's really. I hadn't heard it's been debunked, but maybe I don't know. Again, maybe there's nothing attached to it anymore too. But he got it from the original guy the professor who got it from the guy who originally bought it the at a garage sale from the family, um, and he put it online and sold it, and some kids at the university bought it. They thought it was funny. They had trouble with it, and then the professor bought it from the kids, the students that were trying to get rid of it and sell it. And that was a professor that ultimately he originally buried it after having all the problems with it. Didn't tell anybody where it was buried. He actually buried it on his property. But he eventually pulled it back up for a TV show, and then eventually Zach Bagans got it from him. So it hasn't passed through too many hands, really. But I'm not sure about
so there's
I
a
hadn't heard it's been debunked though.
couple of options there. So one being that everybody created their own haunting, believing that it actually was a negative thing and it can create bad things or it has bad things in it. So they created their own, you
Well,
know,
they did find the
just on the
original.
belief that it does hold something.
Well,
Because
no, they
sometimes,
did get the original story from the family as to why.
but the
the-
people holding it, I'm saying, the reason why they had all the bad things happen to them is that they believed that it did.
They didn't
So,
know. Well, that was the thing of it. The guy who originally bought it from the family didn't know. He went back to talk to the family. They wouldn't even talk to him. They wouldn't take it back. He wanted to give it back. They wouldn't take it back.
oh, okay.
I don't think he made it up. But he wanted to get rid of it after that, so he sold it
Oh,
online.
I figured that they like
And
he
then the
knew what
original,
it was and what, like, it holds, so
yeah.
therefore that belief created the activity.
According to the professor who owned it, he's the one that went back to the original family and found out the true story of how it was made and why it was made and all of that.
Okay, that's interesting.
And Betty, it's not a, and Betty says, isn't the Dybbuk box a Jewish tradition? It's not a tradition, but it is something that comes
From the faith of
from the faith, and it is
so
something that's known in that religion that can be created, and it was created during World War II. You'd have to go look up the story behind it, get the whole thing behind it. But it
um,
is very interesting to read why. It's not something that's normally done. No, it's not a tradition, but it is something that's normally that is known that you could do it, and it's usually typically not done. Um, and Bob just put up. Okay, Bob. Thanks for that link. Da, da.
I'd have to look more into it, but I know
Bob
what it
sent a
is,
link.
but I don't know what, like, what
Well, I
the
do know the
faith entails.
story from the show that was done with the professor and stuff like that. It had nothing to do with Zach Bagans at the time. I do know articles I've read on it. And people interviewed that professor who owned it at the end before it went to Zach. So you can go online. I think Bob just posted the link to a group that has the information on the story. So um, check it out. Be sure to check it out. But look it up for yourself. Again, here's something that you can research and look up for yourselves to try to find out more about it, right? Um, it's like anything else. Again, don't assume anything's paranormal. Um, Bob Burnell posted photos of his thing with the uh, shadow man and the hat man that he was, excuse me, his experience. Excuse me.
Oh
Sorry.
my, that was a big one.
Yeah, it was. Sorry about that. I apologize. So you can check out Bob's stuff. But let me see if I can find something in regards to Dybbuk Box. Okay. I'm sure there's a website about it. Dybbuk Box. Well, you can buy one on Etsy.
Good to know.
I don't think I would.
No. I wouldn't even allow it near the house.
I wouldn't want one anyway. Hey, you can get one on
Well,
eBay.
we got 5 minutes left, so we can take one more question.
We got 5. Yeah, we can take one more question. I was just trying to find an actual website that had something about the
Dybbuk Box.
Yeah, about that story. Unfortunately, I can't right now, but I will try to look something up. It's a lot of junk I'm seeing on here. Anyways, I'll try to find something to post about it later. You guys can read more about it. But if you got a question, throw it out. We got 5 minutes, and then we're done for the night. Yes, Nick. According to what I just saw for an ad on, I was just doing a Google search for Dybbuk Box, and Etsy says they sell them. So,
Interesting.
I'm sure it's not real. Yes, eBay as well, Regina. Yes, I saw one for eBay too. So yeah, crazy.
That was
shit.
my stomach. Did you hear that?
No.
My stomach just growled. I'm hungry, apparently.
Well, then go get something to eat.
I will in 5 minutes.
5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, probably 4 minutes now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, people, you can go check out the story. You can do some research, look it up, read about it. I'll try to post something there. So, my friend Craig asks, when are you and guy going on a paranormal adventure? Well, you got to come to one of the events we hold with everybody else. We hold them every. Yeah, Craig, you got to come along. I actually we haven't had any investigations to do lately either. So, leave it to my friend Carl Mitchell to post information.
I know. I was just thinking that. Like, just wait for Carl.
Carl.
Carl will post it.
Carl's a good researcher, by the way, and a good investigator. He really is. Him and Bob Burnell's another good one. They're good people. And Nick, they might have them on Amazon too. I haven't looked. I'm usually looking to buy stuff, but that's some of the ads that came up when I was doing it. So, Craig, yes, we will definitely do something. I was just starting to say we even haven't had any cases lately to contact us that, or something that I felt was us, worth looking into. Some of his people will say, "Oh, I got a spirit in my house. I want to find out who it is." Well, paranormal investigating isn't necessarily going to help you find out who it is, and they're not frightened by it. They just want to know what's in their house and who's there, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times you can find that out through a very good, reputable psychic medium who I have 3 that I will recommend to people. And they could probably help give people those specific answers better than our team investigating could. Nick says, speaking of paranormal adventures, we're actually planning to head up to New York next year in June. I thought I'd just let you go. Well, thank you, Nick, for letting us know. Let's let us know where in New York you're going to be. Maybe we can all hook up. So, and there you go, Craig. There's something. If it happens, we'll let you know, and you can come along with us, Craig. We can always get together for... Craig, I should probably get you together with Bob Maloney and Carl Mitchell and a bunch of us. A few of us go out and have a cup of coffee sometime. We all live fairly close by. So, we could all hang out sometime. Well, people, we are at our time. So we're going to say thank you again for joining us. Been a good time as always. We'll see you next Tuesday. We'll be back. And if you're going to be around, Craig, come join us at Ocean State Paracon. I put the link in the site here. So if you'd like to check that out, and I'll just throw it up here again for anybody who would like to check it out and think you might have some free time this weekend. There's a link to the event this weekend. It's the 20th and 19th, 20th, and 21st. That's the link. Check it out. Hope you can make it. Love to see you all there. I know some of you can't.
I will be there in all of my Slytherin attire.
Yeah, Carly will be there in her Slytherin attire. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We love you. Have a great night. And we'll talk to you all again next week. And maybe we'll see you this weekend. Thanks, everybody. See you again soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.